Good evening, everyone. This is Michael from Veloplaisir Europe. Thanks a lot for joining the third edition of the veloTALK tonight from wherever you're watching. The veloTALK is brought to you by Veloplaisir Europe. Veloplaisir Europe, a small organization of friends and cyclists who cycle together and are interested in cycling culture in all its facets. And tonight, already the third edition of the veloTALK. Some of you probably already joined the previous editions where we had several speakers and talked about trips on foldable bikes from Tunisia to the Arctic and trips on the Balkans, and also had someone from the Euro Velo Network presenting. And tonight's topics are basically cycling for the climate change and cycling during the pandemic, and we'll directly get into it and present our two guests, Dorothee and Madeleine.
So, hi everybody, my name is Helen from Veloplaisir, and I'm glad to see you again at the third edition. You see, we're just the two of us. One member, Lucas, is sick, so our greetings go out to Lucas at home.
Get well soon, Lucas.
Yeah. And yeah, today we have two presentations, as Michael just said. The first presentation is Madeleine. She quit her job to do a 6-month travel by bike through Eastern Europe. And yeah, she's going to tell us about all her experience because she did it all by herself. And we're going to hear about it later. And our second presentation, Mimi.
Yeah, the second presentation after this is Dorothee Hildebrandt, who grew up in Kassel, Germany, but now lives in the south of Sweden, who decided in 2021 at the age of 71 to cycle from the south of Sweden to the COP26 in Glasgow, to the World Climate Conference, to raise awareness for climate change and to basically bike for the future of this planet and for her grandchildren and children. And she's going to tell us about a trip, and we're lucky that and excited that she's here tonight.
And before we get started with Madeleine's presentation, people who have joined us before know that there's always a Q&A after every presentation. So feel free to use the YouTube chat on the right side. So you can just type all your questions and everything you want to know about their presentations or about the people or about us. And then we're just going to answer all your questions during the Q&A. Well, let's welcome Madeleine, our first speaker. Hi.
Hello. Nice to see you, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm Madeleine, or Maddie, whatever you like to call me. As the others already told you, I'm 29. I did a bicycle trip through Europe almost 2 years ago, and I'm really happy to be able to speak about it right now and to tell you how it was like to travel during the pandemic and travel solo as being a woman. And I'm glad to show you what I did in the next 20 or 25 minutes. I don't know how long it will take me, but I'm curious about sharing my trip with you.
We're happy to hear all about it. The floor is all yours, or the screen.
Okay, so I'm just going to share my presentation with you now. I hope it will work out. So what do you see? Do you see the presentation? Yeah, I think so. Great, okay. So this is my presentation about my bicycle trip through Europe called It Will Be Okay Somehow, or It Will Be Working Out Somehow, whatever you like to call it, cycling through Europe during a pandemic. And yeah, this has been my motto for the first months of this year, because I thought it can hardly get any worse than 2019. because the last 2 years I was struggling with my job, with my master's thesis and everything about that. So I decided to do this bicycle trip since my parents are really enthusiastic cyclists and they've done it before when they were young. I've done some mini trips with my dad and I was just like, okay, I have to quit everything. I have to do that. And 2020 is going to be my year. Since 2019 for me was like this. This is how my master thesis got me like. So I was basically just in this mood and I hated everything. And I was just like, okay, I have to go on this trip. It can hardly get worse. So like I said, and then Corona kicked in. So this is when, what I said in January 2020, when COVID appeared for the first time. And I also said 2020 is going to be my year and I'm going to do this bike trip. It's going to be fun and it's going to be really great. And then COVID came and said, no, you won't do it. So this was in January when it first appeared, and I was sitting in my kitchen in Berlin where I was living at this point, and we were drinking our coffee in our kitchen, asking ourselves whether this coronavirus is going to be there in Germany, and we were both sure that it's never going to be there, and we can't absolutely imagine it. And then less than 2 months later, I was sitting there again, but this time in lockdown and unemployed because I already quit my job. And with quitting my job, I also quit my apartment because I was sure to be on the bike in spring and maybe April or May. But yeah, I think I wanted to start the trip in April. And then I was there thinking, okay, yeah, shit, Madeleine, stupid one. What do I do now with my life without work and without an apartment? So what I had to do is going back to my parents' home, living in my children's room and wait. So I was just waiting there and hoping for doing this trip, which I have saved a lot of time and money for. And yeah, all my thoughts were about I will be stuck there in this small town with 9,000 inhabitants instead of seeing 9,000 new places, forests, mountains, lakes, people, cities, animals, whatever you can imagine. But at the same time, I knew I was really privileged because I could still go there to the supermarket. I could still buy toilet paper and everything people were thinking would run out of stock forever. So I wasn't in this baddest mood, in this worst mood, but still I was just sad of having nothing but being there at my parents' house and doing nothing but going on mini cycle trips around their house and stuff like that because we were still in lockdown. But then everything got a little bit better in spring and I thought, okay, maybe it's going to be the time for me that I can do this trip. This is what I thought because, COVID may change my plans, but it won't stop my adventurous spirit. So, this is what I told myself. It's going to be working out somehow. And this was as well my motto for 2020 then, because I think if I had named character traits of myself, I think, it will work out somehow, would be pretty high up there. And I think maybe it was actually one of the best starting points to master a year like this. So indeed, in summer, the travel warnings were lifted and with a bit of delay, I could start my trip in July and had to change my plans a little bit because I wanted to go to Scandinavia first. But since I wanted to be there with good weather and without a lot of tourists, I changed my plans instead and started in Germany, went to Berlin first because I wanted to see my friends, my old town where I lived, and then I went to Poland. And so the pandemic may have changed my plans, but it didn't stop my spirit of adventure. And my travel mood came in handy because I think traveling by bike is really, really flexible. You are slow enough to see everything you want to see, but you are faster than walking. You don't need your you don't need your car, and you can just set off. You don't need a bus, you don't need a train, you don't need a plane ticket dated for a fixed date, and you don't have to rebook anything in case of doubt, which was 2020, the year of doubts, because we never knew when the pandemic would come back or when the restrictions would kick in again. So yeah, cycling for me was one of the best options to do. And even more even better is that cycling is environmentally friendly, healthy, and free of charge. So I think this was really particularly important this year. And the routes can be adapted spontaneously according to the corona situation, which I did, and the various restrictions. So yeah, I just started to go on my trip then. And I'm sorry, because I just wanted to put subtitles, but since I'm always a little bit late with everything I do, I didn't manage to put them on the videos, but I think you can just imagine everything from the pictures you will see, and I will be really happy to put them afterwards so that you can, for the people who don't speak German, can understand everything. But for now, you just have to listen to German speaking and see the pictures. Yeah, have fun, ne? Let's do this. So, ganz ehrlich, kein Bock. So yeah, this was basically my first day of my trip. And then I had no more plans, just going to Poland. And yeah, first into the unknown and then to Sicily, which was my plan then, or which became my plan. So me and my bike, my 5 travel bags, including my tent, my sleeping bag, my sleeping mat, the camping stuff, and the engine, and me. So in mid of July, as I said before, I left my home village, Beckerfeld, which it's called, and it's in North Rhine-Westphalia. At first, I went to Poland and then to Slovakia, and from there on into the unknown, because I didn't have further plans. I just wanted to see where it takes me and where I liked it. So with this attitude, I cycled to Austria, then I crossed Slovenia and arrived under the observance of all corona restrictions in September in northern Italy. And I think here Rose, perhaps also a little dazzled by the beauty of the country and the incredibly good food, my goal to cycle to Sicily. And until the beginning of November, luck and sun were on my side and gave me the most beautiful time of the trip. And by chance, I discovered Porto Venere, which is a small town near Cinque Terre. And it actually became a second home for me. I had planned to stay there for only maybe 2 days, but in the end, I was really tired of cycling all by myself. And so I stayed with the family. I got to know on warm showers. I don't know if you know that, but it's like couch surfing, but for biking, for cyclists. And there I tried my hand at olive harvesting, tasted tons of Italian food and wine. And however, I didn't want just my bike remained the only thing that was rolling. I said I had to break down my tent, set off, and cycled. I cycled again, and then I was cycling through the beautiful Tuscany, which is for sure one of the most beautiful parts of the trips. And then from there, I continued via Rome and Napoli to the Amalfi Coast until just before Calabria. And then, I had a really, really nice night on the beach. And
yeah, I thought from there I would go and take the ferry to Sicily, but in the end it should remain my last night, because in Italy too the incidences increased and as the temperature dropped. And so the country there was divided into 3 zones, yellow, orange and red. And where I wanted to go was obviously red zone, so traveling was no longer allowed. And yeah, I had to make myself another plan. And so a short moment of despair was then replaced by my flexibility. And I decided to fill my belly again and went back to Porto Venere for the last month of my trip, where I didn't travel then by bike, but yeah, I just stayed there, worked a little bit with them, with the family, and yeah, had a really good time with a proper on the large property with a sea view. And yeah, in the end, I wanted to go back, spend Christmas with my family, and I started my journey home via train in the beginning of December. Yeah, but I just want to give you some impressions of the beauty of my trip. So I decided to put together some snippets of videos, which all of you can now understand because it's without tone. So let's go.
Wer schon immer mal sich gefragt hat, wie sich Hassliebe anfühlt, für den habe ich einen Tipp. Einfach mal die Francigena mit dem Fahrrad durch die Toskana fahren. Danach weiß man, wie sich Hassliebe anfühlt, weil euch ist wirklich ein einziges Auf und Ab. Es ist so heftig anstrengend, ich kann auch nicht mehr. Aber gleichzeitig auch einfach nur wunderschön. Ich glaube, es ist wirklich der schönste Tag der ganzen Tour bisher. Und ja, was soll ich sagen? Ich bin platt, aber es ist ein einziger Traum und daher die Hassliebe. Ja, Leute. Wie es sein muss, habe ich natürlich meine Tagelmaske dabei, denn viele so Wege führen nach oben. Und so habe ich auf meiner hier zur Mission geführt mit dem Rad. Und das habe ich doch einfach mal. Da bin ich noch ein bisschen stolz auf mich. Ne? Da kann man aber stolz sein.
No recuerdes el cemento de la gran ciudad esta vez. Esta noche la tierra es a tus pies. Respira, sonríe.
So, yes, this,
Madeleine,
yeah.
sorry for interrupting. Just one thing, we get some notices from the spectators that your sound was way better when you had the earplugs.
Oh, really?
I think it has microphones in it also.
Ah. So, yeah, I put them in again.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
So, and did you hear the sound in the video? Yeah, whatever. So, yeah, this were the good sides of the trip, but of course, yeah, out of a total of the nearly 140 days I did, I think at least 120 were unbelievably beautiful, as you could see. But of course, there are not only positive moments on such a trip, and I think how could there be? As if everyday life at home was perfect. So yeah, I had certainly had more than a few challenging days. In particular, I always remember back to Slovakia, which really was a beautiful country, which unfortunately didn't have it so good with me, except for the dreamlike nature. So yeah, I think I had 3 consecutive days. First, I was an eyewitness to a mountain accident where a boy fell down a ravine, and to this day, I don't actually know what became or what happened to him, so if he survived this or not. And on the same day, one of my tent poles broke while I was pitching my tent. On the next day, the second one broke. And only for one of the 2 poles, I had a replacement. And of course, I was in the middle of nowhere, so there were no point for me to get any spare parts. So yeah, improvisation is everything, and the necessity is the mother of invention. I managed to set up the tent in the following weeks with 2 instead of 3 poles, and still retain a certain comfort. Then an entire rainy day rounded off my Slovakia experience. So, of course, rain itself is not so tragic at first, but when you have to take a path with gradients up to 20%, which are definitely not made for cycling, but only for hiking, but not even for mountain biking. And you have to unload and reload your luggage 7 to 12 times. So I don't know, I stopped counting at some point, because there are trees and trunks everywhere on the path, and it goes down 50 meters next to you over a distance of 8 kilometers. then yeah, it can really turn into the most challenging day of the entire tour. And yeah, this was the moment when I gave in to my own ego and decided to continue a stretch of the tour by train. Yeah, giving in the ego, kind of stupid, I think. But yeah, I had convinced myself beforehand that a trip by bike meant really having to cycle every single kilometer. And yeah, thank God I was able to correct this for me. And therefore, apart from the described Slovakia experiences, it was really exclusively beautiful memories, my whole trip. But to show you some of the other parts, because yeah, being by yourself and not being able to share the moments with someone is sometimes challenging. And I think it's just honest to show some of the harder moments for me. So this is going to be in German, which I'm sorry for, but since as I told you before, I could translate them in the next days or somewhere. So yeah, you can count the fuck my lives, I said, which was really my new motto then. So yeah.
Madeleine?
Yeah?
Sorry for interrupting again, but I think we don't hear the sound of the video. At first I thought it's only me, but...
Did you hear it before?
Yes, I think it's also connected to the earplugs. So maybe when you play the videos, you have to put them off and then...
Ah, okay. Yeah, of course. I'm going to
Sorry.
do it.
Thank you.
So now?
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay.
now.
I'm just going on then.
All right.
Und ja, ich habe keinen Bock mehr. Ich bin jetzt hier irgendwo in der Pampa, in irgendeiner Stadt. Ich weiß nicht mal, wie sie heißt, aber auch nicht da, wo ich eigentlich hin wollte. Mein Arsch tut weh. Mir ist heiß. Hier sind überall Viecher, aber da habe ich gleich zumindest Mückenzeug. Und ja, die Route heute hat überhaupt keinen Spaß gemacht. Es war langweilig, es hat sich gezogen. Ich habe 95 Kilometer geschafft trotzdem, aber das war einfach beschissen. Ja, wie auch immer, solche Tage sind einfach richtig für den Arsch. Und dann denke ich mir immer, warum bin ich alleine? An solchen Tagen hätte ich so gerne jemanden, der das mit mir zusammen macht. Einfach, ja, damit man dieses Genervtsein und diese Schmerzen und so weiter einfach teilen kann und nicht mit sich selbst ausmachen muss. Aber ja, solche Tage gibt es halt auch. Und es kommen auch wieder bessere, aber das war heute echt Horror. Okay, Leute, good morning. Schmeckt. Ja, hier kommen drauf. So, und wenn ich jetzt fahren kann, ich jetzt mag ich das nicht. Fuck my life, ey. Ich bin jetzt gerade mit meinem fucking Fahrrad in Stromzaun gestürzt wegen diesem verfickten scheiß Sandboden. Und vor dem Rest, das brennt wie Scheiße. Und es tut weh und mein Leib, ich hasse das. Man weiß auch vorher nicht, ob das ein verfickter Sandboden ist oder nicht. Boah, schau, ey, alles, mein ganzer Körper kribbelt. Fuck, ey. Ja, gestern war halt schon ein richtiger Scheißtag. Mit allem, was passiert ist. Dann ist mir diese verfickte Lanze gerissen. Die Strecke gebrochen. Und gerade bricht mir halt einfach die nächste. Und ich frage mich, was soll diese Scheiße? Ich kann mein Zelt nicht aufbauen. Und das Zelt ist verdammt teuer gewesen. Und es kann doch nicht sein, dass innerhalb von 2 Tagen diese Dinger da reißen. Ey, das ist doch mein Life, ey. Das ist hier gerade ziemlich ungeil. Das ist der richtige Weg. Ich bin hier aber mitten im Nichts. Ich habe absolut keine Ahnung, was das hier soll. Das ist niemand ein Fahrradweg. Und es geht auch nur 2 Kilometer oder so hoch. Alter, schau. Es ist einfach nur, es ist auch einfach nicht mehr schön. Jeden Tag heute und das ist auch so scheiße, den Tag rumdrehen. Und ja, das ist gut. Das ist ja noch nicht. Dann noch dreckig. Mir ist arschkalt, nass. Und ich habe mich jetzt dazu entschieden, dass ich morgen direkt mal dieses Abend fahre. Also den ganzen Tag erst mit Joggen, dann mit dem beiden Zeltstand. Das habe ich noch gar nicht erzählt. Als wir geschlossen war, da stand ich halt oben und im Kleinen gemacht. Der ist in der Schlucht abgestürzt und runtergefallen. Und ich habe Zeit gesehen, ich stand auf jeden Fall, was ich jetzt machen. Ich habe keine Ahnung, bis heute noch lebt oder nicht. Und das heißt, ich muss meine Tasche weiterhin scheiße. Das heißt, ich muss fahren. Dann meine beiden Zeltstangen und jetzt da alles richtig Frage. Ich kann so gut meine Fahrradfreunde am Mountainbike und so verschiedene Bilder. Ich konnte nicht, weil ich das einfach so heftig abgesperrt habe. Dass ich mich jetzt so entschieden habe, einfach direkt nach Bratislava zu fahren, auch wenn ich das eigentlich nicht fahren wollte, aber das ist einfach so beschissen. Geil! Was wollte ich auch so geil ist? I don't know
So, I hope you can hear me. I put my AirPods on. So, this was the bad side of the trip. But anyway, I think this were like maybe 5 or 10 moments in 6 months. So I think there are always bad times and good times, but the good times were most of the time. So I can still really recommend doing that, because I think for me, cycling is the solution for maybe almost everything. Because I had a lot of doubts and worries about the corona situation before I left. But during the trip, I really realized that traveling by bike is safer than many other ways. I hardly used buses, trains, or other public transport. I didn't visit big cities or crowded areas, and often, or most of the time, I was just all by myself. I didn't meet anyone for days. So traveling by bike is a great solution during a pandemic like this one. And however, like everywhere else in the world and in all activities, traveling in this year meant that it's determined by greater loneliness, because there were not so many people I met. But in my opinion, however, this is not a negative aspect. Rather for me, it was really an experience that has enriched me. And after almost 5,000 kilometers that I did on the bike, all I can say is, yeah, even in the midst of a pandemic, it was the best decision I could have made. And cycling for me is the most beautiful way of traveling. I have once again realized how little I need to live and be happy. And I think a beautiful sunrise or sunset, which I had like the most beautiful ones I've ever seen, I think, over the sea or mountains, has a lot of more value to me than maybe the 30th pair of shoes or whatever, life in constant consumption. So yeah, there was, of course, one thing everyone was asking me. It was the same two questions that kept reaching me before and during the trip and after the trip as well. Like, isn't it dangerous a bike trip so alone as a woman? Don't you get lonely there all by yourself? And I think most of the people who asked me these questions meant whether traveling alone as a woman wasn't dangerous, because out there, like in the world, especially abroad, there might be bad people, men in doubt, who could do something to me. And yeah, well, I have to say the following, that I find it sad that traveling as a woman still seems to be more dangerous than traveling as a man. And yeah, I find it also quite scary that according to the opinion of yeah, other people, I have to go abroad first in order to meet that people. But because I think since I was living in Berlin and now living in Cologne and being out a lot and going home all by myself as well, this could be really dangerous as well. So yeah, but what I can say 100% is that nature is unpredictable, because I had this experience with this boy and a lot of rain and stuff like that, and thunderstorms. And so, and that it doesn't matter to nature which gender one feels to belong to. And so, yeah, I think what I can say is that everyone should have respect and esteem for nature. And then with a good instinct, a bicycle journey also as a woman is to be mastered very well. And what I wish for was that, there were more women outside making such a journey, being role models for other women and saying, which is now my motto after Fuck My Life, or it's going to be work out somehow, is definitely you go girl, because yeah, most importantly, I think I got to know myself better than I've ever in these 6 months of traveling. Being by my own most of the time, it has been very beneficial that, yeah, I have been always pretty good being by myself, because this has enabled me to cope with difficult situations. But still, yeah, looking back at these individual moments, it shows me what I am capable of and what my body is capable of. And yeah, with how much strength I came out of all of the situations, and how much I can trust in myself, basically. So what I always thought when I arrived at the top of a mountain after a tough climb, where I wasted a lot of my energy on swearing, as you have seen in the videos, I have yeah, a beautiful season ahead of me. I'm really, really proud, above all, proud of myself. And this is what I want to tell you now, or what I can give you as a tip for, yeah, my last two tips is, first, changing a plan is a good idea, or having a plan is a good, because what I noticed during my trip is having a plan, or the good thing about having a plan is being able to change it, because this is what I really did a lot of times, and it helped me. And this is really nice to know that you can always change your plans. And I think we should all be proud of ourselves, yeah, more often. So this is it. Thank you for listening. I know I talked a little bit longer than I wanted to, but yeah, I hope you didn't get bored. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Madeleine, thank you a lot for your presentation and for sharing all these pictures and videos about your trip. I personally really enjoyed it, especially because you with the videos you got a good impression of what it means to do a bike trip by yourself, because you have all the sunny sides, which is meeting musicians, meeting people, seeing beautiful landscapes, having beautiful moments by yourself as well, but also the next to the sunny sides also. And thank you for sharing this really personal side of this trip as well. The more rainy side of the trip, where you have a lot of nights alone, where you're exhausted and you're in some villages, and you maybe sometimes don't even know where you are. So yeah, I propose we directly go into the questions, because there was a lot of participation during your presentation in the chat. Thanks a lot for all the people watching again. We have people from New York, from Oxenford, from Portugal, from Vancouver Island. Yeah, that's amazing. So one question that I wanted to ask you is already answered, because that's a question that I asked myself, but also Thais from Portugal asked about the security as a woman and how it is to travel by yourself. Maybe another question that I noted for myself before getting into the questions of the spectators would be, how many times, due to the security or due to the COVID situation, how many times did you have to change your route? I think you mentioned it sometimes during your presentation. And was there a moment where you wanted to stop, or where you were saying, okay, this is getting too difficult, I'm going home?
Yeah, first I wanted to go from from Slovakia. I wanted to go to Hungary, but I couldn't because they closed borders. I don't know why, but I think they just didn't want to have people over there. So I decided, okay, I'm not going there. I'm going to Austria instead. And then this was actually the only time where I really had to change the whole route. In the first place, I had to change it because the borders were closed at the beginning, because I wanted to start in April and I had to start in July, where borders were most of the borders were open again. But then, yeah, where I had to change again was when I wanted to go to Sicily, because I was just there. I wanted to take the ferry, and then the zone became red, so I had to stop and go back. But or I could have been there, but because I didn't know in the beginning whether I would be able to cycle, if there was anybody who would just say something or if they would just ignore it. I didn't know that, but I didn't want to risk it at this moment. So yeah, I just decided to go back.
Okay. Should I continue, Helen? I would suggest we go over to the questions in the chat. One thing that is interesting for people who are watching who maybe didn't do a bike trip yet and would be interested in doing it, from Abe Kidane, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, who's asking, you mentioned couch surfing for bikers. Are you staying at people's houses or at places like a hostel?
Yeah.
Maybe you can talk about, because you did a lot of camping, but
I did both of them. When I was in cities, I went to hostels, but sometimes I did, it's called warm showers. So this is exactly the same as couch surfing, but especially for people who are doing bike trips. And sometimes they let you sleep in their flat or house or whatever. They have beds, but sometimes you can just pitch your tent in their garden, or they give you a small mattress, whatever they have. And this is what I did a lot of times, and all my experiences there were really, really good.
Nice. Helen, your microphone is not activated.
Now it is. Just the tone problems today.
There you go.
Thank you, Madeleine. I also enjoyed your presentation very much. Really interesting to see you in all those countries. We have one guy asking you, because we saw you were in Italy drinking wine and having good food. Would you recommend a bike trip through Italy?
Yeah, I would really recommend it. I think Italy was the best part of the whole journey. I mean, Slovakia was really nice, but as you have seen in the videos, I didn't have the best moments there. But Italy really surprised me. I didn't have any expectations, but I just liked Italy before because I like the south of Europe. But it's a really nice country to travel to because the vegetation and everything is really different and varies from north to south, and also the people do. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I could recommend it to everybody. And also, people told me before that I was crazy to go there because it's not so good for cyclists, except in the north of Italy. But I made a totally different experience, and I think it's totally fine to go there by bike.
Thank you. I hope this answered Maite's question. Continue. Maybe do you see the question? Wasn't it? So Emily asked, was it too hot biking during the day, to bike during the day?
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes yes, but luckily I've been to Italy in September, October, and November, so I could easily travel there in shorts, but it wasn't too hot because it was already autumn. But I think during summer, especially in the south, yeah, I don't know, maybe a little bit too hot then. But since Germany doesn't always have the best weather, and Poland neither, it was okay there in summer.
Nice.
And maybe the last question before we pass the word to Dorothee, from our friend Mario from Unfold the World. Hi, Mario. You're probably in Lesotho or somewhere in some other place in the world. Mario is asking, looking into the future, what will be your next long distance biking trip?
Yeah, I want to finish my bike trip in Europe, in Sicily. So I don't know when, but hopefully next year I give myself 3 months of traveling again. I don't know if I can manage it with work, but this is the plan. So I think I want to. Yeah, I think so. So finish Sicily, Sardinia, and then Corse. This is the plan for now, but I don't know. Since my plans always change, I'm not sure if I really do it, but this is the plan for now. But I really want to go to Scandinavia, as I wanted to do this in the first place, and I want to see Lofoten and go to Norway. So maybe this could be a part of my trip as well.
Are you going to be alone again, or are you going to be with someone this time?
If I find someone, I would go with someone, but I think all of my, or most of my friends don't enjoy cycling so much as I do. So I would be happy if someone would join me, but at the same time, I like traveling by myself as well. So it's both fine.
But this is a shoot out to our community then, if you want to join Madeleine next biking tour, or just for a short way, just contact us or her directly. Thank you.
My microphone was... Yeah, thank you, Madeleine, from my side as well. I suggest we keep on going with our second guest tonight. And Madeleine, let's keep in touch and see you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And yeah, we're going over to the next guest, Dorothee. Maybe we can already get her into the... Yeah.
Hello, Dorothee.
Hello, Dorothee. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for being here. Dorothee is in the south of Sweden right now, where she lives, but originally is from Kassel, where I'm also from. So yeah, we're really happy that you're here tonight. I'm just going to do a little introduction. So like I said in the beginning, Dorothee cycled in 2021 from the south of Sweden to the World Climate Conference in Glasgow to raise awareness for climate change. And everything that she discovered and experienced on this trip, she's gonna tell us about it now. And then, Dorothee, you have the word, and we talk after your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I am 71 years old. I was 70 when I started my bike ride to Glasgow. It's maybe a little unusual. I was planning that another way. First in 2020, COP26 should have been in Glasgow, but it was postponed by COVID. And I was thinking about to go by train to Glasgow, but then when in 2021, COP really would be in Glasgow, I heard about people who will start walking to Glasgow from close to my hometown. So I was thinking to follow them, but at that time only 8 people could make the group, and I didn't find people to go with me, and I would go by myself throughout the woods. So I decided to take the bike. It was a lot of planning, of course. I have made a long bike trip since I was a teenager. I'm used to biking, but just around the town or a little longer, maybe 10, 20 kilometers a day, but not more. So I tried with my old bike, and where I live, it's quite hilly, and so I found that I need 4 hours for 40 kilometers. And that was a little too much, I thought, because I had to push my bike half of the time. So I decided to buy an e-bike. In my age, I think it's allowed to have. My son and his wife, they were so kind and was helping me to buy it. And then I was only planning the route. And it was, of course, not so easy because I had to also, it was still pandemic, I had to read about how I can enter this country and that country, because I have to cross some countries on the way to Glasgow. And I found out that it's quite easy anyway, because I had my 2 vaccinations. But to go to UK is a little more complicated. So when I started from my hometown. So I hope you see my picture, my point. I don't hear you. So I hope, because I have 2 open, sorry. So I'm actually living not so really in the south of Sweden. This is a select point. Hometown, so where I live now, because I have moved in my life. So it's not so far from Stockholm. And I started there needed around 1 week to go to the south of Sweden. I was using couch surfing and warm showers, and Madeleine already told about it. And I also had to stay at the hotel one night because don't like it. And in addition to that, I don't like gravel roads. So I tried to find sometimes very safe. There's a career my own. I didn't make it to get the attention for me, but for the climate. I became a climate activist in 2019, in the start of 2019. And so I have had my picture on the first side of one of these papers, but I have also in other papers. I was lucky, really lucky. And also all the way down to south of Sweden, I was taking pictures at every county I entered. This is the last one, Scania. Between Helsingborg, Scania, and Malmö, I was taking the bike on the train because I was visiting my son in Helsingborg, and the day was too short to go all the way to Malmö, and I didn't wait for a hotel the day before, and my pension is not very high, so I have to care about what I do with my money. Then when I entered Denmark, it was very easy. So because the usual they wrote I have to show my COVID pass, but there were no checkpoints. So I just because the first stop from the train over the Sundsbridge is the Kastrup, the airport. So I have to go throughout. I passed in Denmark, of course, and then also one day I made 98. Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you.
I'm sorry, we had some problems with the connection. When you showed your presentation, the connection got really bad. So I think we have to continue without the pictures.
Okay.
Would that be possible for you? We already, yeah. Maybe you can close the slide on your computer because the quality was better before. And if you don't mind to do your presentation without pictures, and then we can do a Q&A afterwards, that would be good, I think.
Did you hear me, or shall I start again?
No, we heard you. We heard you. But just when you showed the pictures, the connection got bad.
Okay. Where was I? Yes, Denmark. I just entered Denmark. One day in Denmark, I was riding with my bike 98 kilometers, but I had to charge my battery on the way, and I was very happy to find a gas station that had CCTV, so my bike was safe there. After Denmark, I was going to Germany and the north of Germany. So it was no problem. I was coming by ferry, and it was no problem to enter because I was on my bike. It was a checkpoint, but the officers didn't care about me, so they just checked the cars. In Germany, I had my first rain day. It was when I was on my way to a friend in Hamburg, and it was raining all the day. I was so wet. It was going through all of my clothes. It was horrible. But it's good to come to a friend and get warm and dry. So from Hamburg, I was going to the west, so I came to Netherlands. And the Netherlands, there was also the border crossing very easy because there were no officers at the border crossing. It was a little road where I was coming through, and I didn't have any problem. Do you want something to say, Misha?
No, it's all good. I'm just listening to your presentation. We just stay here and we ask questions afterwards.
In the Netherlands, I was going down south, and I was through Groningen, and I have to look at it. Sorry, Apeldoorn, Utrecht, and Rotterdam, or more cities, of course, because I don't make so many kilometers a day, around 70 to 80 usually. But I met very many hosts who were very kind, and it was also Netherlands, it's a very good bike country, so there are very good bike paths. So I had planned to go down to Belgium and to Calais in France, but by COVID, it was not possible to go by train under the channel. So I was going from Rotterdam to Harwich in UK. And from Harwich, I made it to the north. I tried to use the NCR one, so this is a bike stroke, how to say. It's, the sustains in UK, and they make this bike path so you can go safe with minor roads and bike paths. But it was very, very hard to bike in the UK because the minor roads are in a very bad condition and the bike path as well. So when I was coming to Middleborough and was going to Sunderland, there was really a bike path, but it was autumn, so there was a lot of leaves, so you couldn't really see the bike path. So also it's slippery. And the bike path, at the end, it was a lot of water, so I was lucky to find a path where you could walk, so I had to walk the last bit with my bike. But the worst was this bike path had barriers, and the barriers were like this. They were much smaller up here, so down my panniers were no problem, but I couldn't get my handlebars through. I had to wait for the very kind pedestrians coming or walking, or someone with a bike or helping me. But I really was surprised that it was so easy to get help in UK or also in Scotland. So I was going to Newcastle as well, and then the ferry, to come to Newcastle, I had to take a ferry from the north beach from the south beach to the north beach. And when I left the ferry, the people are coming who would go the other way around. And one woman told me, "Oh, you have my voice as well." And she was not the only one who told me it was good what I'm doing, and then they should talk with them as well. So I have a lot of other places I have been. I was in Glasgow. I had a place outside Glasgow first, but it was a little too far to ride every day back and forth because it was 20 kilometers, almost, maybe more, one way, and so I could never had enough time to be in Glasgow and demonstrate. So I was lucky. I got some hosts in Glasgow. It was really last minute for one, and the other I had to have contact before, but they didn't really know. Yeah, can I go there or can I not? But all was going well, and it was all very interesting because. So you get to know the people, the culture. You see things you never have seen before, like when they have the laundry, when they dry their laundry on racks, and they take up under the ceiling. So often the houses are quite high, the roofs are quite high, so they have space enough. So they you don't look at the laundry all the day, It's very good to dry it. In Glasgow, I was demonstrating with Fridays for Future, and I also was demonstrating on a Saturday where there was a very big strike, many more people and so we were going by bicycles. Unfortunately, there were so many people when we arrived at the end point with our bicycles, all was already done. So, because it's a group, you have to push our bikes. There were a lot of press who were interested in me, the ride, and my and why I was riding my bike all the way. So it was very good because I would have some. I hoped it would make a difference for the climate, but when the conference ended, unfortunately, the result wasn't so good. The way home, it was already mid of November, and the days were shorter, the days were colder, so I decided to take the ferry from Newcastle to Amsterdam and then take the train home. And so I was hopping train with a bike, and some parts in between I was going by bike as well, of course. But it's very difficult to go by train with a bike because it depends on. There is from Denmark to Sweden, or also part of Sweden, there is a very good train, really done for bikes. But in Amsterdam, I had to lift my bike 3 steps up, and I didn't get any help. The conductor told me, we are not in a kindergarten, and he wouldn't help me. So this is a little different. I had also a train in Sweden who was not really done for bike, but I got help of the conductor, so that was better. But then I had to take a lift at that place. I had to change train. I had to take a lift, and the lift was not big enough for my bike, so I had to ask people to help me down the stairs and up again. So I think that was the most of it, because I think we don't have so much time to talk. I could talk a lot more about it. All my wonderful hosts I met, and just that is I think was the best thing of the whole trip, to meet all these people, to know all this culture and see activists and also other people. So it was really a good ride for me, because a good experience. And I was also riding solo, and at my age, I think it is not so difficult anymore, not so dangerous. So I think that's what was it.
Thank you very much, Dorothee, also for your spontaneous change without images. This sounds quite like a trip, actually, for a 71-year-old lady. Let's start with this with the simple question. How did the people react to you, seeing you on a bike, traveling, telling them you're going all the way to Glasgow by yourself?
Yes, a lot of people didn't believe it first, but I did make it.
Nice. So you convinced them or showed them that you did it.
Yeah.
But was it for you an important factor also of support when people saw you and on the road and encouraged you doing this? Because you said that you sometimes, people just came up to you, talked to you, asked questions.
Yeah, it was very good because I felt that I really can make a difference.
Yeah. Maybe one question that I noted was also because you talked about the media attention, because that's, I mean, your trip has an impact just by the people seeing you, and it's really incredibly inspiring what you did, in my opinion. But also, of course, when the press and the media are following you or are writing about you, you showed one article. I think there were many articles in many different countries. Can you maybe tell a little bit more about this? How did this happen? Were there just journalists or like written press, also film teams? Maybe, you could talk a bit about this.
About Sweden, I was contacting the newspapers and telling them I'm coming there and fighting for the climate, and maybe you are interested in to write about me. And some were contacting me, and then it became an article. But there is a problem because there are only, I think, 2 or 3 big newspapers agencies. So a lot of newspapers have the same owner, so they don't. Not so much newspapers write about one. And then when I was coming to Denmark and Germany, I was not there for such a long time, so I didn't contact someone. I think it was in the Netherlands, one of my hosts had tried to get the media interested in me, but she didn't have luck. And but when I was finally in Glasgow, then the interest was very big because I was staying outside. I was only for 3 days staying outside the really big conference part, and otherwise I was on other places. And and also doing the demonstrations, of course. So people came to me, and I know the first one was when Fridays for Future demonstration. There was a guy who told me he's from Taiwan, and he is making TV or something like that. And if he could ask me some question and take a picture and say, okay. And then I have ended with this guy, and then a woman came and asked me for, I don't know, I don't remember where she was from. And it felt great. And then when we are at the, there's also had to do with the demonstration, when we are at the point where all were gathered. So more came, German and Swedish, and I don't really remember. And then when I was outside this a big conference center, so there were someone from the Washington Post asking me, and so I felt, oi, that's I didn't think they would be interested. And a photograph on a Swedish newspaper came, and also he came back soon afterwards with a journalist, and they made an interview. And then Irish TV station, someone of the Irish TV station asked me for an interview, and I was really surprised about them. So that the one I remember. Then also a lot of people are coming and taking pictures for, may I take a picture? May I take a picture with you? And so, and say, oh, you did that, you really did that. And yeah, so it was good after all these days I was on the road, so it was really good. And I was thinking about that. There was a German guy, Suna or something, he had a podcast and he was asking me as well. So there was a lot that it made me feeling good because it was not the easiest for me to go all the way.
Very nice. Maybe connecting to the media attention, one Sarah Müller is asking, did you in Glasgow, were you able to talk to the politicians about your trip, maybe as part of a panel?
I would have liked, but unfortunately I couldn't. I was not allowed to go in there. So I was only on the green zone, they call it, green zone, where all the other people could be, and where the NGOs and so told us what they done and so on. And I couldn't get into one. Was one, but they only did take pictures as well. Minister from the environment, the minister from Iran, he was asking me for a picture. I was just so surprised because you see how people are dressed, and so I asked him what it was, and environmental minister from Iran. I was so really surprised. So, but we didn't speak more. But a woman from Kenya, she is handling the what is it? This the money they get for climate actions. So to build solar, some photovoltaic. What is that in English? Sun roofs or something like that. And she took pictures also of me, and it was good. And then she took contact with me. So we still in contact, but unfortunately she's not a politician. She is in an office.
Mhm.
But I would have loved to talk with politicians. I hope it will be better next time.
And there was another question that was asked multiple times, I think, in the chat. Sorry, Helen, I just wanted to add on another question because the question was if you will travel to the next summit as well.
When I heard that the next COP will be in Egypt, the first thought, oh, that's bad because I have to cross some countries that are not very safe. But then I think I have to find a way to do it, so I am planning for it. And I also have got a sponsor. First to Glasgow, I didn't have a sponsor. So now I also have got a sponsor who helps me a little. And I am planning to go to Egypt to COP27.
Dorothee, you said you got to biking when you were like a teenager, but were you always like biking for conventional like activism reasons?
No, not at that time. No, I was just getting together with my parents. They told us we have to go with them by bike. So we made it. We made it to Switzerland, to Lake Lucerne. The longest trip we made. Otherwise, it was a lot in Germany.
And just because you said you're going to Egypt as well, did you have some maybe requests or maybe people from your family that proposed you to come with you, or is it for you clear that you're going to do this trip alone again?
Now I will do it by solo again. Yeah, my children they can't go with me. They don't have the possibility. You know, it's much easier to be retired and make such a trip. So on the one hand, I have the time, and on the other hand, I have some funds. So I always have my pension. You know, even I have not so much to travel for because I have to pay my rent as well. But there is some money that I can use. I don't need to try to get a work and.
Yeah. Go on, Helen. We have some questions.
Now we can continue to the question of Whiskey Tiere. How did you find the host during your stay?
There are the internet sites, the couchsurfing at the site, and warm showers. There are also other sites like Trust Fruits and Be Welcome. And so I was looking on the internet for the place I will stay, if there were someone listed, and I read about them because they have also references, and so it's very safe. And then I asked them, and I always ask in advance, sometimes a week in advance, sometimes 2 weeks in advance. It happens also, it was only a day in advance because when something changed. So, and for the most, I was lucky. Got the house.
Are there like in all countries same available, or are there countries where it was harder to find a host?
It depends on a little on the country how many you can choose from. So and the places like when I was in the UK, I was thinking about to have a house in one place or around there, but it was not possible. So I had to take the train because it was too far away, the house where I have had and the next house. And also on that place in the quite the middle, they couldn't find any other way to stay overnight. So it depends on a little, and it depends also on which part of the UK and so on.
There is another question from Tidal Sun, which I find really interesting. He asked, how did you celebrate when you got to Glasgow? A big nap, a dance party, some bubbly?
No, my celebrating was a demonstration.
Yeah, of course. No, he just added because you have traveled on your own. So how you marked these special moments when you arrived in another country, or
yeah, no, depending on sometimes not at all. My birthday was in October. That is always in October. So I was in Newcastle, and my host made a dessert for me. And yeah, when I was with my friends, of course, it was different. And I come to other hosts, but some hosts were so. Most of the hosts were so very nice to me. So it was like a celebration every day. You know, I got the queen size bed and such things. You know, it was wonderful.
Great.
And Dorothee, do you have any recommendations for like other elderly people if they want to do like a bike trip like this? Any tips how to get started with?
Yes, that's the try. Yeah, a little planning you need, I think. So, and as I did, I tried how far I can go with my usual bike, but I think younger people, they don't need an e-bike anyway, so they make it also with a usual bike. And they can decide themselves how far they will go on a day. So it's just not to just to start, and maybe they start with a week only or something like that. The start is very important that they do it.
Yeah. So you're never too old to start a bike trip, which is nice.
Never too old.
Very nice.
That's maybe a good word. Good ending word for tonight. Yeah, I think seeing the time, I think we can slowly come to an end. I saw one more question from Peter Füchsle, who asked about how to get updated about the Veloplaisir activities, but we can get into this after saying goodbye to Dorothee. So, Dorothee, thanks a lot.
Thank you as well
for sharing all your trip with us. Many people in the chat expressed that they really got inspired by this and that they found your courage really inspiring. I suggest I also put the link to your website into the chat right now. And yeah, or I'll do it after the event on YouTube because right now it doesn't work here. But so if the spectators want to learn more about your trip and read in detail about it and see the pictures as well, which we unfortunately couldn't see because of the connection, they are on your website.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, and I'd say getting back to Peter Füchsle's question. So the Veloplaisir activities, so especially the veloTALK, are happening regularly. So you can, just how do you say? Get the notifications on YouTube, so you can like the channel Veloplaisir Europe on YouTube. So then you will get all the news about the next veloTALK. We also have a Facebook page, which is called Veloplaisir Europe. We also have a website, which is called veloplaisir.eu. If you have feedback to this event, don't hesitate to write us on Facebook or formally on our website. And we also, the question from Peter Füchsle, where can I get one of your t-shirts? Helen, do you want to respond to this?
There you go. You can just email to us whether you want to have it in black or white. We do a special merch. You don't see it on our website yet, but you can just tell us if you want to order a shirt from Veloplaisir. Yeah, you will find the email address just below on the YouTube link.
Perfect. And of course, if you listen tonight and you also did a bike trip that you would like to share during an upcoming veloTALK, this is also, of course, we are more than happy to get a message from you and to invite you as a speaker for the next talk. Yeah, I think this is it. Thanks a lot again for watching and enjoy your night. And we hope to see you at the next veloTALK.
Thank you very much for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.